Welcome to the Empowered Mind podcast with Joelle and Natalie Rivera. We are on a never-ending quest to master the power of our mind, develop a growth mindset, and explore the leading edge of positive psychology and human potential so we can take radical personal responsibility for creating our destinies and reaching our potential. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, how do you impact the people in your life?
And many times we focus on what other people impact us. What do they do to us? How they make us feel? And if they make us happy, if they make us sad, or whatever it is. But a lot of times we don't really sit back and think, how are we impacting other people? See, many times we have this illusion in our own mind of who we are or who we are to other people and how we behave and how we think and what we are in this world. But sometimes we don't sit back and really think about, are we really that person?
And so sometimes there can be a disconnect between who we think we are and who other people think we are. And it's not that we're saying that you should care what other people think, because that's not really the point here. They're going to think what they want to. But the truth is sometimes the things that people think about or say about you, that you look at them like, what are you, crazy? That's not who I am. It can be a really good thing to stop and look at those things, because maybe they're a little bit more accurate than you thought, because maybe you've been blinding yourself to the truth by focusing on what you think you are, this illusion of who you are versus who you're actually being for these other people.
For example, you might say, I'm this inspirational person that makes people happy and that people like to be around. But then when you start assessing your behaviors and how you really act in front of other people, ask yourself, are you that? Are you actually, is your behaviors actually creating that in other people? Do you constantly talk about maybe drama in your life or drama in their life? Or do you like complain about things? Do you nitpick about things? Are you really creating that environment that you want and that relationship that you want with those people? And maybe it's different with different people, but really ask yourself, why do I behave this way? Why do I act this way? And is that the person who I want to be? Is that the person who I want to be for that person?
So it's kind of like when you make a social media profile. So who you say you are on Facebook or Tinder or wherever the heck you put yourself, you're putting your ideal self forward. And it can fool people because you're putting only the good stuff. Of course, you're not going to include your laundry list of negative traits in these profiles, but the problem happens when you are telling yourself those things, when you're believing you are that Facebook profile, that perfect Instagram photo, when the truth is that that's not who you're really being. So the challenge here is to ask yourself, how am I making the people around me feel? What impact is my behavior having on the people in my life?
Am I being present, when I talk to them? You might say, well, I want to be that person that other people feel heard when they talk to, that they connect with at a deeper level, but yet they might talk to you and you might find yourself spacing out and not paying attention and then not even like responding effectively because you're in La La Land over there in Mars and they're in Earth, back to planet Earth. So it's really recognizing is, what do I need to change to be the person who I want to become? Do I want to be that inspiration for other people? And if I do, how am I reacting to situations? Am I being that example of what that person that I want to be with my behaviors, with my actions, with my words? And if you're not, then what can I do to become that person? What can I do to react differently? What can I do to be there for people the way I want to be? Or what can I do if I'm not reacting in a way or behaving in a way to certain people in particular because I don't have space or time in my life for them? Maybe you need to change the people you're around. Maybe that they are also bringing you down and you're bringing them down. Maybe sometimes in life we need to make decisions to say, is this relationship working for the both of us? Are they being that person or am I being that person for them as well?
And so the activity that you would want to do with yourself here is to sit down and ask yourself, who is it that I want to be in the world? And how much of the time do I feel like I actually am that person? And that first question could be a little bit harder to be able to understand how you're actually showing up for people. So the next question that helps really solidify it is to say, who would I have to be? What would I need to act like? How would I be with other people? How would I speak to people? What behaviors would I have? What decisions would I make if I was this person that I see myself as, that I really want to be my best self? And then assess, okay, am I actually doing these things? And if you're not, then the final step is to look at what could you do differently so that you actually are bringing your best self to the world. So we're not trying to say you're not who you think you are, that higher self isn't real, you're just a fraud. That's not the point here. The point is that you absolutely can be this inspirational person that you want to be in the world, but you have to really be honest with yourself about how you're showing up for other people. And the best way to know is to look at how is it impacting those other people.
And again, like I say, you don't want to beat up yourself over it. You don't want to be very judgmental and say, well, I'm this terrible person because I reacted that way or whatever it is. It's really just to grow and develop. And I think sometimes the best way we can see that is when you're a parent. Maybe you lose the cool a lot sometimes when you're talking to your kids or other people, and then you see your kid do it, or you see your kid react a certain way or say certain things. And you're like, that's not acceptable. But then you start thinking as, wait, I do that, because a lot of times our kids are a reflection of us, of our demeanor, of our behavior, of our word use. So sometimes they're a good reflection, but we don't need children to tell us who we are. We can actually become aware of ourselves when we communicate with other people, when we reflect on those things. And then again, if we really define who we want to be, then it makes it easier for us to make different decisions, because we're not just doing unconscious patterns and behaviors that we get used to. We're actually consciously deciding to act differently, to say different things, and to respond differently during different situations.
And so most of the people in our lives, whether we work with them or they're our friends or family, we're all in the position where we want to make a positive impact on the world. And so we're challenging all of those people out there who want to make an impact to first identify what impact you want to make. Second, look at the impact you're actually having on the people in your life. And then third, make changes so that you can live in alignment with the impact that you actually want to make.
And always keep in mind that you might say, I want to be that inspirational person, that positive person. And then you might start being that, but you might have a friend or family member that's used to you being the one that is a little bit negative at times, that brings down the conversation. So they want to connect with you in the same way because they're used to connecting with you in the same way. And now you change the script. Now you're like, well, I'm not that person anymore. So just keep that in mind, that other people might start trying to push you back to that person that they knew because they associate you with that, but doesn't mean that you have to become that. It could mean that you can change and you can inspire others to change as well. So ask yourself, what impact am I having on other people? What impact do I want to have? And then make those changes. Thank you.
Thank you, fellow Freedom Junkies, for listening. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to help us grow, please rate and share this podcast. You can also become a member of Freedom Nation. Visit freedomorbustpodcast.com and sign up to receive access to exclusive content and take the 21-day happiness challenge. As you know, we believe that entrepreneurship is the ultimate form of empowerment, which is why we created the Side Hustle Business Startup course for anyone looking to create their own income and take back their power. We offer an exclusive discount for our podcast listeners. Find out more at freedomorbustpodcast.com.